Zaman in India, you are on with Shannon and me, and you have, it says here you want to tell us why you believe and why I don't. So cool. Welcome.
Word.
Yeah, thank you for this. Assalamu alaikum. May peace and blessings be upon you, and prosperity and safety to your family. So,
I didn't have you on here so you can preach. I really don't care about peace and blessings to Allah. I just want you to make the case that you're making.
oh yeah, I mean, this is like the Islamic greeting.
I know what it is. This is the atheist experience, not the Islamic greeting show.
Okay, but I'm a Muslim, but I may still greet you like.
I'm aware.
I apologize if you don't like that, but
I just like you. We have 3 minutes left in the show now, and you wasted some of it praising Allah. So get to the point, please.
So I'm not going to speak too long. I wanted to, like, I mean, I've watched some of your episodes in the Atheist Experience, and most of the time you said about, like, you know, this is the show where, you know, people talk about why they believe and, like, what are the justification or, like, what are the backings they have for what they believe. And then I would also like to know from your point of view, like, why you don't believe, or like what is your position at all overall. So yeah, that's what I wanted to discuss. So where should I begin with? Like, what did you like?
I don't know. When I read the call screener thing, it says why you believe and why I don't, and I wanted to hear what you had to say. We're down to like just a couple minutes left in the show, but.
I think my answer is any philosophically monotheistic God definition that I've ever encountered breaks down as incoherent, especially when compared against the texts that are supposed to espouse those gods.
And my answer is that I don't see sufficient evidence for anything supernatural, including gods. Why do you believe?
Okay, so when you say evidence, how would you define evidence? Like, because I mean, I remember asking you this question a long time ago in a Discord server, and the answer you gave is you don't know. I mean, how
correct?
Do you,
I don't know. Zaman, I don't know what would change my mind, but that's an admission of humility. If there is a God, that God should know exactly what would change my mind, and he hasn't done it, which means he either doesn't exist or he doesn't want me to know exist. What I asked was, why do you believe?
Okay, so I'm talking now. I'll tell you why I believe, even though I had some questions for like what you said. But okay, so I mean, for me, okay, I wasn't really a very conservative believer, hardcore theist, something like this. I wasn't like this for like when I was a kid and. Before I like the time.
So we've officially run up against the hour. We are now into overtime on the show. So if you can get to why you actually believe instead of the meta discussion about why you believe, that'd be helpful, because I can't address this and we're not going to go on for more than maybe 10 minutes here.
Okay. So what I believe or why I believe, what is it? The thing is, I believe. I mean, for example, the word Islam, right? So Islam, it means that to believe in the strength that you have in you as a human being, which is given to you by Almighty God, to find that strength, work on it, and be strong in it, so that you can be successful in life and after death.
I thought Islam meant submission.
Well, yeah, this is what.
Well, then why are you saying Islam means something other than submission?
Yeah, I mean, that's like the word Islam. It has a root to the word Aslama, which also means submission. But
okay,
there is
Zaman.
Yeah.
Are you ever going to tell us why you believe, instead of giving us definitions of Islam that don't match what the word means? Are you going to get to why you believe? We've only got like maybe 8 minutes left.
Yeah, I just told you what is it that I believe. And the thing is,
no, you didn't.
This is what I found from studying Islam. right? Now tell me why this is wrong to believe that I have this human strength in me, and I need to find it out, work on it, believe in it, and be strong in it so that I can be successful in life and after death. You know what? There are a lot of great things about me, right? And I'm actually working on them to humanity in this world. Right? This world a better
Zaman, just stop.
Zaman, it's very difficult to follow.
Zaman, just stop. Okay, here's the thing. I appreciate that you tried to tell me what you believe, but what you believe is that Islam is about finding your inner strength and living a good life. Well, that's not what the word means. And I don't have any objection to that. I have no problem at all with someone finding their inner strength and living a better life. That is not something that is necessarily requires Islam. So it seems to me you're being disingenuous about what you mean or what you believe when you're talking about Islam. But what I asked 7 minutes ago was why.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm getting at, right? Why
you're not getting there fast enough?
Can I ask one question? Because this is my reason for not believing, is that there's no philosophically coherent definition of a God that, especially when that comports with the religious texts that are attempting to support it, particularly also monotheistic. So you're going bottom up, right? You're saying I've had these personal revelations. I did some studying, and I've found ways to relate my personal journey, either metaphorically or whatever, to the religion, and thus I think that there's maybe some value in it, but that doesn't get us to whether or not it's true. So could you give me a definition of God that's coherent, that doesn't actually even become contradicted by the text that you're attempting to defend?
Yeah, I mean, like we believe in an all-knowing, all-powerful, transcendent being that is beyond any kind of, that is beyond the any kind of
all-knowing, all-powerful. Is he timeless?
Yeah.
So he's existed for eternity. Does he exist outside of the universe of known reality? Does he exist outside of known reality? Do you understand the definition? Do you understand the definition of the God that you believe in? Like, because it sounds to me as though you have like a loose, sort of structurally defined philosophical definition of a God that you just accepted, and you're kind of waffling a little bit on what that means and how it relates or potentially relates to your texts. Because some of the questions that I asked are basic tenets of how to define a God philosophically. So before you start defending the God by starting with the things that you believe and how they relate to your life and your personal experience, I would like to have like a really strong definition of what the God is that you believe in and why you think it's philosophically sound and how it relates to your text. That would be a good place to start with me, if the attempt is to relate to why I am currently an atheist as opposed to believing what you believe.
Okay, so you said something about like, you know, my personal revolution or something. This is about, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with someone starting something and then finding out. I mean, is it wrong to believe that I have the truth? Because I have
you can't even define the God that you believe in any sort of coherent way, because you're essentially saying I believe in something, but I don't know what exactly even it is that I believe in. I just kind of feel a certain kind of way about it. So that's enough for me, which is fine if that's enough for you. But you're trying to defend your faith to me and convince me that you're right, and it's not enough for me.
See, and what you did just a second ago was attempt to shift the burden of proof, because what you said was, is there any reason to think that you're not correct? But that's not the way the burden of proof works. You have to demonstrate that you are in fact correct. We don't just get to assume that you're correct because we can't prove you wrong, because you may have an unfalsifiable proposition as a God. Now that we've wasted another 5 minutes, why do you believe in a God?
Okay. Because of the studies. I mean, like, so here's the thing. This is not just about the studies I have done and from all kinds.
That's good, because I don't give a rat's ass about the studies. I care about evidence and argument. What is the reason that you believe in Allah?
Matt, listen to me for just 1 minute, right?
I've been listening to you until my ears are ready to bleed. I keep asking you why you believe. Are you going to answer me, or am I going to end this show?
Okay, then end the show. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Zaman.
It's nice when they're ready to quit. Once they've found themselves backed into a corner.
I just like so many people, and I can understand the reasoning behind it, because what convinced you of it is likely some sort of personal experience or revelation or study of some sort. So that's the position you're going to take when you're defending it, because it is your reason. But that's not transmissible, right? Like, I can't have the experience that you previously had, and even if I did, who's to say I would relate it to religion in the same way that you did?
Yeah.
So that's not a way to convince anyone that you're even holding a rational position. It's just saying, I had an experience. Don't you believe that my experience is valuable? Sure, your experience is valuable. I can understand where you got there, maybe, but that doesn't mean that I also should, or that anybody else should, or that you're right.
Hey, Shannon.
Hi.
Do you believe that supporting transitioning for trans people is the best treatment that we have right now?
Yes, absolutely.
Why do you believe that?
Oh, because the science overwhelmingly proves that when you look at the outcomes of people that have gone through transition, and gone through all of the steps required in order to even get to that process, the hoops that they have to jump through are ridiculous. So you have to be committed.
Now that's a bold claim, because you just
overwhelmingly positive.
Because you claim that there's a bunch of scientific evidence. I'm assuming you could point me to those studies that provide the evidence that demonstrate this.
Of course, absolutely. I could.
Why the fuck can't callers do that when I ask why they believe something? Oh, I'll tell you why. Because the God thing is a fuzzy thing that they haven't been able to nail to a wall or come up with any sort of thing for. They're backed into a corner, because when you say, what is the evidence? The theists have less evidence than, oh crap, I can't say that on the Atheist Experience, but I'll say it Wednesday night on the Hang Up. It is about evidence for an F word thing, but
oh gosh, okay.
I got it's that's stuff that I can't necessarily do, but yeah, there's a bunch of claims that just don't have evidence, like, you know, flat Earth and all kinds of other things. So yeah, Shannon just gave the perfect example of what someone who has a belief rooted in evidence will do when asked for that. It's curious to me. It's not that curious. It's annoying to me that the theists don't do that. Now, I've been hosting this show for 15 years. I think it's unlikely that I'm going to stumble across anything new. I want theists to call in. I want them to explain what they believe and why. That's it. I want them to not meander and preach and praise Allah and all that other bullshit. I want you to tell me what it is you believe and why you believe it. And more importantly, why you think Shannon and I should believe it. Because if your reason, which we've avoided some calls in the past, because they're like, well, I can't prove it to you, but I've had a personal experience. And so sometimes I want to have those calls to say, hey, is there a way for us to evaluate your personal experience? Because even I've had personal experience of things which don't serve as justification for a belief like that. And as we work towards that, to try to get somebody to give us the why, I'm convinced I'm not going to get really good whys. Even when we do debates and somebody comes with their best argument and their best evidence, lately, it's been getting worse. It is, God is just self-evident. Well, that's not what Thomas Aquinas thought. Oh, well, you know, but then he's talking about the 5 ways, and those aren't even proofs. It is so weird to have someone call in to say, I'm a Muslim, I am a servant of Allah, and here's why I believe, and then get nowhere near a why.
And it's also so funny to me that they start bottom down. So they essentially build up their belief structure and then select a God definition that comports to their belief structure. If they even get that far, like they start at the bottom of the pyramid and work up towards it. And then they're like, oh, okay, well, this definition of a God would fit what I've kind of built up the best. So that's the one I'm going to go with. But why wouldn't you? Because especially if you see it as only one God, the first place that you should start is the philosophical definition of what that God is, because there could only conceivably be one, right? So you would need to find the strongest, most robust definition and then see if that even comports to what you're being taught in your belief systems. But not only do they not start there, so many of them don't even get there. They just say, you know, a bunch of omnis maybe, or he loves me the most, or the Christian God. And there's so many different conceptualizations of gods, even within particular religious denominations like Christianity and Islam, that even that isn't really saying anything of value about what you believe a deity even is, which I think should be your starting point. But maybe I'm bananas. I don't know.
I could not agree more, and that's the reason why Shannon Q is so welcome here on the show, and a friend of mine.